folks, is they've declared the meeting wet, and because these classic bikes don't have to have options of wet and dry tyres, they've called them. This is part of tomorrow's racing, and they've left the post-classic bikes. What did you see there, Connor?
Daniel made a big dive up the inside, took the lead temporarily, but just got back past by who's that in the lead?
That's Chris Swallow, but Dan's gone back in the front.
Yeah, he's getting really good starts at the moment. He's got a bit of, so it's obviously benefiting on the start. He's always had a lot of pace in the wet, so I think we're going to see a good showing from him. All throughout the years on any bike, he's been able to just get a real good feeling, and his riding style really suits the wet, so yeah, it'll be a good race for sure.
And that's Chris Swallow on the single-cylinder BSA there in second spot. But look at the way Dan Medham's bike opens up down that centre straight. And in behind Chris Swallow comes the hard-charging Tyler Lincoln on the Manx Norton. But Swallow had a win earlier on. We've already had 2 of these races. I think from memory that Swallow took the 2 race leads. He gets out of that Higgins corner just a little bit quick. He's trying to hunt down Dan Medham. Isn't going to get into his slipstream. I can see water spraying off those bikes down that back straight, even across the paddock there, right across the field from the commentary box. I can definitely see it in the Ctas footage as well. So it is number 88 followed by 32 and then 60 in tight formation coming onto the front straight. That's a good battle going on for 4th and 5th as well around that Go Media corner. Don't know who it is until I get to see some numbers there coming across the start and finish line. I'll look at my timing screen. I'll check out there. That is indeed 131 John Carter and Colin Tate there on 101. So now John Carter is on the Sealy Suzuki. He's got 2 Sealys. One is a Suzuki and one is a Yamaha, as I was pointed out. Great to have someone coming up here and update me on the information I got wrong. I know an R5 is a Yamaha, but it is great to have that information there. And yeah, I understand your bike might be back and sorted for tomorrow there, Connor London.
Yeah, it's looking like we'll be ready for tomorrow morning, so it's a bit of a shame that we're missing out on this one race here, but yeah, definitely a good battle out there at the moment. And just something interesting I noticed is the lines difference between Chris Swallow and Daniel Medham. Daniel Medham obviously coming off the superbike, and he seems to always be running in a lot tighter on the entry, and Chris Swallow is just sweeping it a lot faster in the corner, and it seems that he's got a lot more entry speed than Daniel Medham. So that might just be a bit of a habit that he's picked up from the superbike, and so yeah, it's quite an interesting thing to notice. And you can just see Chris Swallow over the back of Daniel Medham now going down the back straight.
Chris Swallow recently competed in the Manx Grand Prix as he did last year, and he's done several Grand Prix over the years. The Manx Grand Prix, that's the classic TT meeting in September. So and Chris has been around New Zealand racing all sorts, usually on this Neville Waterson BSA. What are we looking at? We were looking at group number 1. I've lost my piece of paper because I was expecting another class up there and I was probably chatting there. Just all these excuses coming out of my damn head. One piece of paper's just gone off the face of the earth. There it is, hidden under there. No, I'm going to give up. Oh no, here it is. Here's one I prepared earlier, folks. Chris Swallow from Wellington. Yes, it is the Neville Waterson BSA, and you can see that going through the turn 3. The left-hander in the S's takes the wider line there. He's lining up Dan Medham. What sort of change are we going to see at the hairpin, do you think?
I think Daniel Medham's going to run a defensive line, but Chris Swallow just gets it underneath him. But I think we're going to see Daniel Medham come back past him on the straight here. He's got a lot of power under his ass.
Swallow uses all the road to come out of that hairpin. I noticed he's getting really good drive because that's a single-cylinder machine, as is the Norton ES2 that Daniel Medham is, but definitely gets the drive out of that hairpin. But Medham comes back at him. They're over on Higgins this morning in the box seat there. Tyler Lincoln for 3rd place. So they're parallel down the back straight there, Connor London.
Yeah, you can just see Chris Swallow's exit speed out of Higgins is just quite a bit more than Daniel Medham's just with their lines. Daniel's entering a lot tighter and Chris is coming in from a lot wider, so he's coming out with a lot more corner speed, but Dan's bike just pulls away down the straight.
So maybe do you think, I know Dan's in the front there, although not for long there. Chris Swallow takes the wide line there and just gets momentarily ahead, although Dan Medham's back over the start-finish line to see the white flag in the lead spot. Do you think maybe Dan could sit behind Chris Swallow for a lap or two and maybe change his lines? Does he need to do this or what?
I think that'd be a smart thing to do for the long run. If it was a longer race, I definitely think it'd be a good idea. But for now, I think the way Dan's riding, it's just making it a lot harder for Chris to get back past. So it's a very defensive way of riding that Dan's doing. I think he knows that he's obviously seen Chris come up alongside him in the middle of the corner. So I think he's just riding a bit defensive at the moment, which is a smart way to ride.
Right, we've got half a lap to go. Who's your money for the win?
I'd say Daniel. He's gonna stay defensive. You can see him going in there about 10 metres tighter into the hairpin there. So I think he's just going to stay defensive. But you just see Chris come back past him on the exit.
He just smashed it coming out of there. But here comes that Metum speed. Doesn't wait to get in behind the slipstream. Doesn't wait there. Just gets back past. But wow, look at Chris Swallow under brakes here, taking the high line.
Trying to go around the outside. Obviously Dan's going defensive, so he's making the only way around is to go around the outside, which is not an easy thing to do.
Mate, they swapped a couple of times there, and now we're coming across a lapper. I don't think they'll get a lap around that big sweeper. I think the margin is probably Andrew Kidd back there on the 163 bike that might maybe come across during that.
They might going to get them on the exit.
Yeah, that's going to happen, definitely. That's going to happen. These guys just got to hold their line. It's up to people passing one each side of Andrew Kidd on the 163 machine. One each side, they swap positions, and there it is. It's Chris Swallow, mate. You were wrong. You were wrong. You were wrong. By half a bike length. It says 7,000ths of a second here, so it was Chris Swallow. I wouldn't have come up with that, but definitely those lappers played a part. They did everything clean. Yeah. What interested me is they went one each side of the first rider. They swapped over, and in about 60 metres when they went past the next rider, they swapped positions the other side round. But Chris Swallow for the win, then Dan met him, and Dan met him, I think, gives him a pat on the back. Or is that a fist? Hope he didn't dislocate his shoulder like that pussy at, who was it, one of those Marquez. Give your mate a pat on the back and dislocate a shoulder. That's not going to be that good. Imagine Marquez riding this weekend with a week-old dislocated shoulder. I had one of those years ago. I fell off a push bike, 3-seater push bike, and I'd had about 3 dozen beer that night. But anyway, while we were looking at that, Tyler Lincoln came in with a healthy third place on the number 60, Dave Kenner, Manx Norton, followed by Colin Tate, John Carter on the Seeley Suzuki, number 6 spot there, 221, Owen Armstrong on the Triumph, TR5T, and Melissa Tate for 7th spot there on 204. That's all the people that did a 4-lapper round there. So Sheldon Reynolds, Andrew Champion, Anthony Starr, Andrew Kidd, James Quilter, and Nick Worthington. In fact, Nick Worthington out early on. The piece is only listed as having 1 lap. Thanks, Connor. We'll put a bit of radio on.